Hello everyone.
Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. It is Saturday the 22nd of October, Brogan.
Yep.
I am Mike and I am with Brogan.
Yep. Hello.
Unfortunately, we are missing Julian for the next couple of streams as he is on his holidays with his wife and child. Where are they, Brogan?
Disneyland in Paris. We do have a message from them actually.
We do.
Before we get into anything else, so I'll just play that now.
Welcome to the Crypto Warehouse in Disneyland Paris. My head's about to be in a spin. Make sure yours is not. Remember to click and subscribe.
So that was from him. A great message. Yeah, great message.
Yeah, it's nice to see him enjoying himself while we're here hard at work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, so
carrying.
We are going to look at the Bitcoin price.
Yeah.
And my prediction, as has been the same prediction for the last 6 streams, is 19,200.
Oh, you're very, very close.
What are we on today?
19,000. It's just changed. 19,150.
Well, there we go. It hasn't changed.
No.
Why
do we even bother?
Well, we're kind of in limbo at the minute. So we've had the financial markets of Japan and the UK nearly crash.
Yeah.
America's been told to rein it back in. So the word on the street is that the November Fed meeting, they'll raise interest rates.
Yeah.
They'll raise interest rates in the UK one more time. And then December or January next year, they will look at starting to pivot, which means starting to look at not putting rates up or start to bring them down. Because if we keep going the way we're going,
consumption will carry on dropping and we ain't going to get any growth.
We're going to go to hell in a handbasket. Yeah. So I don't expect Bitcoin to do anything really. And if it does, as the title of the video says, the only way at the moment I think for Bitcoin is down. And it might be quick, it might be a week, it might take a few days, but I can't see us pumping to 30,000 by Christmas, which is what I said we would do in one of our first videos. So I think we're probably going to be crabbing for the next 4 weeks. Anyway, let's move on to something far more exciting.
Yeah, we're a meme, word on the bird.
Word on the bird.
Yeah. Wait for it to load. So we have this meme. So how do people fall for such obvious scams on a daily basis? I may not be a smart man, but I do fall for obvious. Oh, I don't fall for obvious crypto scams.
Yes.
And here he is on his boat in his dirty vest.
There is a new cryptocurrency which was launched called Altos or Atlas. I can't remember the pronounce of it. And it's rocketed in price. And everybody's been shilling it, pumping it as best they can on Twitter. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be one of these pump and dump schemes, which is where all the people that have it pump the price up, and all the retail people who think this is going to go to the moon are going to come in, they're going to buy the coins held by these people, and the price is going to go back through the floor again. So as far as I'm concerned, it's another one of these scams.
Yeah.
And I'd rather err on the side of caution and not say it's a good idea than go for it, because I think it's going to be another one of these coins where you'll buy.
Is there any use of buying it?
No.
Well, then that's like a sure clear meaning of Bitcoin, but it's a clear identifier of a waste of time.
Well, we're going to get onto why we should only hold Bitcoin later on.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the themes of the last few weeks and of the next few weeks, is that when the market is volatile or stagnant, the best place to keep your cash, not financial advice, is in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right, so should we move on to the
first topic,
the Shanghai one? Now, the reason I've put this in is a few weeks ago I mentioned the Shanghai upgrade to Ethereum, and you and Julian looked at me like I'd lost the plot. So this explains what the next update is, because a lot of people that bought Ethereum expecting the merge to make them 2 or 3 times the money.
Yeah.
What they failed to realize is that they weren't going to be able to unstake their Ethereum after the merge. So this just explains what the merge is. Yeah. And I'll try and kind of, if there's anything technical in here, I'll try and explain it in simple terms.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's go through it then. Ethereum launches testnet to begin work on Shanghai upgrade. Developers begin to tweak proposals that may be incorporated into Ethereum's first major post-merge upgrade. The Ethereum Foundation on Friday announced the launch of a pre-Shanghai testnet it's calling Shadong. Shadong will serve as a testing ground for numerous Ethereum improvement proposals, EIPs, which Ethereum's core developers will build, tweak, and ultimately whittle down to the select number of updates that will be included in Shanghai when it eventually goes live. Core developers previously confirmed to Decrypt that Shanghai is expected to launch by September 2023 at the latest. Perhaps the biggest ticket update most likely to be included in Shanghai is EIP 4895, which will allow individuals and entities that hold staked ETH with Ethereum to withdraw it. Another much discussed update that some developers hope to include in Shanghai is proto-dank sharding. You can see the WoW background here, slightly.
Yes.
A preliminary version of a process that would allow rollups, the tools that offload much of the Ethereum's mainnet transaction traffic, making transactions cheaper and faster, to verify huge amounts of data by only sampling small pieces.
Yeah.
Ethereum's co-founder Vitalik Buterin has emphasized that perfecting the speed and cost of transactions on such layer 2 networks are essential for Ethereum's future. With billions of dollars of staked Ethereum trapped on Ethereum until Shanghai is implemented, the network's developers may ultimately determine a more pared down upgrade is necessary to hasten the software's release.
So, if we start at the very beginning, we made a video. Do you remember the triangle? Decentralization, speed, and security.
Yeah, you can only have 2 of the 3, the holy grail type thing, yeah.
Correct. Ethereum is decentralized, and it is secure, but it's not very quick.
No.
So to make Ethereum work at the speed it needs to work to become the computer of the future, they have to basically offload all the heavy duty work to platforms like Polygon.
Yeah.
And Polygon are a layer 2 which sits on top of Ethereum, and they do all the transactions, microtransactions which cost cents or pennies to do. They roll them all up in a great big batch and then submit them to the Ethereum network. So this Shanghai upgrade, although it's not specifically it's not being done to specifically unlock people's Ethereum, it's kind of, they're batching together all the kind of wish list items they want. So make it go faster, make it be cheaper, allow people to unstake their Ethereum, etc. So Shanghai is the next big event for Ethereum. But September 2023, just to give you an idea, December 2020 was the period of time when you could stake your Ethereum. So if you've staked your Ethereum in December 2020 and you're not getting it back till September 2023, you've had it locked up for 3 years.
Yeah.
Now you do get paid. You do get, it's proof of stake, so you do get 4 or 5% interest on that. So it's not there. It's not a dead rubber. It is, you are making a return on it. And now that Ethereum has gone deflationary, that 5% is worth more than it was 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So this is a bit technical, but
very positive.
It's positive because this is the next step. And as Vitalik keeps saying, Ethereum is 7 or 8 years away from being finished. So we are still early, and every one of these updates that comes along just brings Ethereum closer and closer to being the finished product.
Yeah.
So all positive news. And now we go to something which we can't really avoid. It's the elephant in the room.
Slightly.
Liz has left.
Yeah. 45 days, was it?
45 days. Shortest ever MP in the history.
And she's still getting paid the allowance, isn't she?
Yeah, it's a good deal for that because she's going to get £115,000 a year for the rest of her life.
20,000 payout, whatever it was.
Yeah, so it's a good deal for her because remember, as she said 45 days ago, she ain't no quitter.
45 days ago.
45. A lot can happen in 45. You can ruin an economy in 45 days, as she's proven.
Yeah.
So she's left.
Yeah.
And I actually tweeted last night. In July this year, we predicted that Rishi Sunak would become the Prime Minister because he was the only viable option. And 45 days after she became the Prime Minister, it's apparent that we've got two options. We have bring Boris back or give Rishi...
So we've got one option.
Yeah, we've got or give Rishi a chance. They seem to be the two options.
Yeah.
And Penny Mordaunt, or whatever she's called, she is more than likely going to become the number 2 to Rishi.
Yeah.
And I think we all agreed in June that was the right course of action. It's just taken 3 or 4 months for them to see the error of the ways.
Yeah, and the 45 days. The grey 45 days.
Yeah.
To realise. Yeah.
And so if you go through this, I think there was 2 articles I found about this, about UK crypto regulation. One was very negative, and this one's very positive. So I thought this one makes more sense because don't forget Rishi's very pro crypto.
Yeah.
And Liz kind of spoke about it a few times and tweeted about it. So this
what was good is that they both weren't negative. So
yeah,
you know, either way, we're obviously going to get both now. Seeing as though we've had Liz, and now we're going to have Richie.
Yeah.
But you know, if there's only one to be chosen, at least both of them weren't negative against crypto, which is great.
Correct.
But you know, I think we should get into the article now. We've
Go for
prefaced it enough. So, crypto anarchy in the UK. The United Kingdom's month of chaos, which reached a crescendo today with Prime Minister Liz Truss's resignation, has one surprising winner: crypto backers. For crypto believers, recent events in the UK have historical resonance. Bitcoin was invented as the last global financial crisis played out, and first embraced by a group of crypto anarchists who wanted a way out of the existing system. The first block of Bitcoin transactions ever sent was embedded with a Times of London headline from January 2009, Chancellor of brink of second bailout for banks. Fast forward to 2022, and suddenly the UK is in bailout mode again. Suddenly, crypto looks stable. One common critique of cryptocurrencies, and one sometimes cited by regulators, including the Bank of England in July, is their high price volatility. Recent events give them an even better talking point. Amid the chaos of the last month, the volatility of some long-dated UK sovereign bonds has at times exceeded that of Bitcoin. And it's not just the British system that's showing cracks. Other important nodes of global finance, notably the Bank of Japan, are also under acute stress. If Bitcoin was built to provide a plan B, this is kind of the moment where you see the transitional financial and monetary systems facing a profound challenge, said Stephen Luca. Names every article. There's always one article every week which has a slightly off name. Anyway, managing director at financial services firm Swan Bitcoin. The early view from one corner of the House of Lords is that Sunak is the leading contender. I suspect he is, and chance is strong. Liberal Democrat Jeremy Purvis, Lord of Tweed, told me via tweet. Tweed.
Lord of Tweed?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a very nice one.
Tweed's good.
I like that. I like the good name. There is one crypto casualty in the chaos. Sunak's Financial Services and Markets Bill, which would have paved the way for regulation of crypto financial activity in the UK, came up for further consideration in committee yesterday, just in time to get lost in the shuffle as peak parliamentary disorder set in.
There's a lot in that article.
Yeah.
So I'm going to focus on the one thing which stands out above everything else, which is the Bitcoin element. The financial crisis that we have now has come about from printing... bless you.
Sorry.
Printing too much money, which causes the inflation. The war in Ukraine, which has happened, and the reluctance of governments to act quickly enough because they believed that inflation was transitory. Transitory means they thought it was just going to be a quick spike.
Yeah.
And what we're going to have is we're going to have 12 months, 18 months of inflation. Now, on one side, you've got the tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists that Julian loves, right? Who claim that we need independent money. It needs to be out of the greedy hands of the banks and the governments and everything like that. And on the other side, you have governments that when they go through periods of financial turmoil end up being incredibly volatile.
Yeah.
They have to print even more money to try and bail the markets out. And what Bitcoin actually does, if you take out the tinfoil hat people for a minute, it's an uncensorable, immutable store of wealth. So it isn't affected by inflation or political change or governmental decisions or wider changes, the macro environment. If that changes, Bitcoin doesn't change. So like gold, in the olden days, in the 50s and 60s, you would hold a percentage of your wealth in gold because over time it would grow in value and it offsets the effects of inflation on your pockets. The problem with gold is you have to be very rich to have it, and then where do you keep it?
Yeah, you have to store it somewhere, and then it's wholly responsible on your end. I mean, it's the same with Bitcoin, depending on where you send it.
Yeah.
But you could just leave it on a wallet, and in theory, as long as you don't interact with it, it could be safe.
Exactly.
Because as long as you don't get hacked. But if you don't interact with it, you'll be fine.
Exactly.
But then also there's cold storage, which is a similar system.
Yeah, you have a little ledger,
yeah,
which is like a little pen drive. You put your Bitcoin on it, you put it somewhere safe, and you're fine.
Yeah.
So what Bitcoin is, like you've just said, it gives the average person, the man in the street, the woman in the street, it gives them the ability to buy and hold a currency that negates inflation. And so everything else taken out of that, it's just like digital gold, and it's something you can hold. And in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years' time, it will be worth more than it is today. Whereas the money in your pocket is worth less and less and less.
Yep.
Because inflation is eating it. A loaf of bread costs 50p 5 years ago, costs £1 today, might cost £1.50 in 5 years' time. So your loaf of bread has tripled in value in 10 years, but your pound in your pocket hasn't.
Yep.
So I think that's that. I think Richie's going to do a good job, but hopefully. I think the takeaway for that is that not financial advice, but you should keep some of your wealth in Bitcoin.
Just as you would with gold back in the day.
Just as you would with gold, exactly. So now this is the Department of Justice.
Yeah, I've heard. You told me this is a big article.
It's a very long article, and I've tried to trim it down because this is one of those articles where people are screaming for justice, but in fact...
It might not be, if you look at it another way.
Yeah, I'm on the side of Bitfinex on this.
Alright, well, let's see what the situation is then. So, customers battle to regain billions in Bitcoin. The DOJ recovered... Who's the DOJ?
Department of Justice in America.
Recovered in its largest seizure of stolen crypto. It was the biggest relief of my life, said Frankie Cavazos.
There's some cracking names in this article.
Horrible. Cavazos. That's just Frankie. Said Frankie, who lost 15 bitcoins in the hack. Over the course of the last 6 years, the value of the stolen crypto skyrocketed. At the time of the hack, a single bitcoin was worth less than $1,000. Today, it would be trading for around $20,000. Frankie, no, don't even read that. Why would anybody question that I should get my money back? That was my property. Bielena said, I'm still going to be trying to get a hold of these 15 Bitcoin because I truly believe they are mine. Frankie said, I can prove it though through the blockchain explorers. You've really shortened that down, haven't you?
Well, no, I haven't. I think the editor has changed. So the long and short of it is, Bitcoin got hacked. So Bitfinex got hacked.
Okay.
A long time ago. Was it 2016?
Does
it say in the article?
Yeah, 2016 security breach.
So everybody that had any funds on Bitfinex took a 36% haircut. So basically, they took 36 pence out of the pound of everybody who was on the platform. And in exchange, they gave them bit tokens or something like that, tokens, to compensate them, which most people sold at a fraction of what their loss was.
Yeah.
So Bitfinex, the platform, gave people a coin to compensate them for
The BFX token.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just reading that.
Yeah, to compensate them for their loss.
Mm.
The issue now is, if you lose £1,000 in law, in 20 years' time, if that £1,000 is worth £20,000, you're still only due your £1,000 back.
Because it's snapshotted, right?
Correct.
So when it got robbed.
Yeah. So Bitfinex are now saying, well, hang on a minute, you've recovered these stolen funds, but we've already compensated the users of the platform. So, I mean, I don't know what your opinion is. My opinion is that if you had £1,000 and they took 360 quid off you and they gave you tokens, and if you've come out of this, say, £100 down, my thinking is that you should get your £100 back.
Yeah.
Not your 16 Bitcoin.
No.
What do you think?
Well, it depends, because like if you consider Bitcoin as a store of wealth, as gold, you then consider the value being in dollars, for example. But if you consider it your own currency, you should get that 16 Bitcoin, no matter what the price was.
But they've already compensated you.
That's what I'm getting onto. If you've already been given the same amount of value, or roughly the same amount of value, or no, the same. If you're given the same amount of value in a different token, and then you're therefore able to get the value of whatever got stolen, I don't really feel like you should be compensated additionally, because then you're just gonna get double of what you had.
Yeah.
Which isn't what compensation is.
No.
So, I mean, if everyone in the situation where they all got the BFX tokens and they all came out with the same, the same values they would have in Bitcoin at the time, then I think it's.
I think their argument is that when they sold these tokens, they only got 35% of the value of them. So if you've lost
at the time,
yeah. So if you lost 360 quid and you sold these tokens, you only got 120 quid of that back. So you're still owed £240. So their argument is that they want their Bitcoin back, whereas my argument would be
they want their value back. I think.
You should be given the value
Yeah.
of what you've lost back.
Yeah. So in the situation where they haven't got all their value back, it should be based off value as not off quantity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what they're looking at is the opportunity cost that they've lost on this. But as Bitfinex say in the article, people were within their rights to sell those tokens and buy the Bitcoin back at the time, which of course maybe a lot of them didn't. And I think it's going to end up in court, and I think there's going to be some kind of compromise suggested by the judge where maybe you get a percentage of your currency back. I mean, it's happened with Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox was the big one. It's happened with Poloniex. They had another. Poloniex wasn't a hack. It was a problem with their trading platform, but people still lost a big chunk of their wealth. But the wealth is based on the time you lose it, not the value of it now.
Okay.
So that's the problem. But listen, they're gonna get something out of it. It might take them 3 or 4 years to settle, but they'll get something back. But they're never gonna get. I mean, why would they get the 15 Bitcoin back?
No,
I don't think they would.
No.
So, CFTC, which is the commodity. So you've got the SEC in America, which is the securities, and then you've got the CFTC, which is the commodities. People have been crying out for the commodities committee to take over from the SEC because it's not really it's not a security, it's a commodity, especially Bitcoin. Whereas this is now starting to look like they're not really going to be any nicer than the SEC. Has this got the editing on it?
It does, and then you refresh the page, it doesn't. So we're in a bit of a pickle. However, I have some sort of workaround for this. Okay, so I'm just gonna try and I think I'm on the article, am I not? Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to try to get my way around this.
Yeah.
Let's hope it goes well. Or I'll just read what I think is valuable. So, in an October 20 report from the Commodity Future Trading Commissions, CFTC, a total of 82 enforcement actions were filed in 2022's fiscal year, imposing $2.5 billion in restitutional disgorgement?
I haven't got the article in front of me. I don't know what it is.
But I'm saying the word. You might ring a bell.
I actually don't know what that word is.
That word right there. And civil monetary penalties, either through settlement or litigation. The CFTC said that 20% of the enforcements were aimed at digital asset businesses, with Hareman Rostin Beckenham saying, this financial year 2022 enforcement report shows that the CFTC continues to aggressively police new digital commodity asset markets with all of its available tools. I can't. Let me. I have a method.
I can give you. I can give you a rough précis of what he says. After
Some of this was hard. Okay, so one of the more recent CFTC enforcement actions that gained notoriety in the crypto world was a $250,000 penalty against B0X, its successor OKDAO, and its founders in September. The action sparked fierce criticism from the community for going after the members of a decentralized autonomous organization, with CFTC Commissioner Summer Merzinger labeling the move blatant regulation by enforcement.
Yep. That's pretty much it. You don't have to read it anymore. I've read it. I've read through it.
Okay.
I think there's the problem with the fines that these people dish out is that the fines are punitive and sporadic. It's not a fair level playing field. So, I mean, as far as you're concerned, do you think a DAO, it's not a central body making decisions.
No.
It's a collective group of people who are spread out around the UK, America, Europe. How can you fine a DAO?
I don't think you can.
Of people who make decisions as a group together. So it's not a financial institution. It's not a business. It's a collective, and I think it's Panama will be the first country to introduce legislation for DAOs. And I'm not saying that crypto companies should be allowed carte blanche to do what they want. Everybody wants regulation, but the regulation has to be fair.
Yeah.
And there are tens, if not hundreds, of other companies that could be fined by the CFTC that aren't even being approached, because these guys are the lowest hanging fruit and it's easy to find them because you can get hold of them. But with, you're not going to go after some of these people who are based in Costa Rica or wherever, because they're harder to get hold of and it's harder to enforce. And I think that's where the problem is, that not saying the most vulnerable crypto companies, but the most easily got at crypto companies are being fined, and the criminals who are committing financial mismanagement of people's money, they are being left to do what they want, aren't they?
Yeah. So
my issue is I don't think it's fair, and these fines, the SEC, I think I sent it to you and Julian last week. The SEC had a 7% attendance record last year. So 7% of the time their staff were in the office. And they live off the fines which are dished out by the SEC. So it's all just a great big... I've got to be very careful what I say. It appears to be quite unfair.
I've managed to get the highlighting back up, so for the next articles we should be good.
Perfect. Right, well, now we're on to something a bit more fun.
Yes.
If you can
take this seriously.
If you can use Interpol and fun in the same sentence.
This is pretty wacky, this, right?
This is a little bit left field.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so put your hands up. Interpol storms into the metaverse. Interpol's metaverse is up and running and has been designed to streamline communication between various units, along with providing an avenue to conduct education and training. The International Criminal Police Organization, Interpol, is putting up its virtual reality headsets as it prepares to crack down on an expanding list of possible crimes in the metaverse. According to an October 20 announcement, Interpol has launched the first ever metaverse specifically designed for law enforcement worldwide, and it's already fully operational. Criminals are already starting to exploit the metaverse. The World Economic Forum has warned that social engineering scams, violent extremism, and misinformation could be particular challenges. Interpol also revealed plans to develop a division dedicated to cracking down on crypto crime. Interpol Secretary General Jürgen Stock highlighted the need for the specified unit. The only answer is international cooperation, coordination, trust, and real-time sharing of information. Interpol has outlined that its metaverse will hopefully provide a more streamlined and efficient way for its various outfits across the globe to communicate and work with each other. I think that's fair enough.
I think this is brilliant. So, as the resident techie, using the metaverse to share information, have meetings, even have little coffee rooms where they can go and share ideas. This is surely a great idea, isn't it?
I think it just expands upon the communication you can receive, because in theory, if you boil it down to the bare bones, it's the same thing as having a Teams meeting, but it's just you're moving around a bit more and you feel like you're a bit more involved, which I suppose could be a good thing. If you're a bit more involved in the communication, you might get through to you better.
Yeah.
It's also it's a bit of a nice thing to do, because you're not just looking at someone's face and talking to them. I don't know how they're doing it. Maybe I don't think you can see their facing as you'll just see their character, but you can move around a bit. And I know you can get like whiteboards, you can write stuff down, and everyone can see it. So it's obviously, I've talked about this before. The graphics aren't there yet. However, I think this is a really cool thing, and if it's being used properly and everyone's adopting it properly, I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. I mean, the first I heard of anything like this was there was a country, or was it a state in America, that had the open days for their universities all in one metaverse. So you would turn up in the metaverse version of, say, the University of Denver or Colorado, and each room would have the different speaker for the different subjects and subsections. And where I think the big difference for me between the metaverse and, say, Zoom or Teams is, in Teams you are in a fixed location with a fixed group of people.
Yeah.
Whereas the metaverse is just, it's a big word, the metaverse, but all it means is it's just a virtual world. So you could walk into the history lecture.
It's a big Discord
yes.
group.
Correct.
But you can move around, and it's dynamically adds you to the call of different places.
Yeah.
So you can have multiple people.
Correct.
Talking and stuff like that.
So I think this is not just a big move. This is light years ahead of where enforcement were 5 years ago.
Yeah. I don't think I feel like for this, there's certain situations, or I feel like the majority of situations, this the metaverse isn't applicable for communication. However, for things like this where it's a universal thing and it's Interpol, it's around the world, where you're probably most likely all the time going to be on Teams, I feel like this is a great thing to have it on the metaverse.
Yeah. And it'll cut down on travel.
Yeah.
So people aren't going to have to drag themselves to India or the UK or the States for meetings. more people can attend, so there's more information sharing. You're going to have, like you say, Discord versions of channels, whereby if there is a specific case to do with drugs or
there'll just be a room.
There'll just be a room. You can go and discuss it with people from different parts of the world. So I think this is a massive leap forward.
Yeah.
And I'm actually surprised at how far they've gone in implementing this.
I'm impressed. It's not just like they're getting on the bandwagon. They've actually, they've said they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And they've actually fully made it.
Yeah.
And I think it's, it's already been used, isn't it?
Yeah. It went live in September, was it, this year?
Not sure.
Yeah.
Impressive stuff.
Yeah. Now this is one for you, really,
right.
And it's a hell of a long article. So I've tried to pick out bits.
All right.
We'll get the gist of it, and then we can have a chat about it.
Right,
yeah,
that's fine. Okay, so how gamers beat NFTs. Fans have largely triumphed against the gaming industry's efforts to incorporate non-fungible tokens, and this one's mutiny. And this is one mutiny that may really matter. We've listened to our Teamsters, development partners, and our games communities, and the concerns they've expressed. The publisher posted on social media, and have therefore taken the decision to step back from the NFT space. But for the better part of the past year and a half, a whole lot of people in the games industry thought NFTs sounded great. With games, the idea, broadly speaking, was to merge the well-established, wildly profitable act of selling digital items and the buzzy word of Web3. The catch-all term for a hazy mix of blockchain, cryptocurrency, and virtual reality technologies that always seem to be over the next horizon. Yet it's been avid gamers, many of whom regularly pay extra for flashy in-game outfits that do nothing besides look cool, who have most clearly rejected efforts to push NFTs on them. The initial backlash from consumers was a response to the shallow game mechanics and Ponzi scheme-like practices that informed most of the early designs, said Juiced Van Droon. What the hell? This is 1800s. Juiced Van Droon, a games industry analyst. Okay. Gamers, after all, have brought most of Web3's underlying concepts for decades. Have bought into most. Okay. Persistent online worlds date back to the disco era, when early computer networks and dial-up modems let nerds fight their way through text-based dungeon adventures. The idea of a metaverse is old hat to 2000s devotees of Second Life or World of Warcraft. Some fans of Grand Theft Auto Online have been playing the game for 9 years across 3 generations of home consoles. We already have metaverses here. Strauss Zelnick, Chief Executive Officer of publisher Take-Two Interactive, told GameIndustry.biz earlier this year. I would argue we have the biggest and best. No other group is more comfortable existing in virtual worlds and owning digital items. I disagree with what these people are saying.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. I think, from your point of view, and from my point of view to some extent,
You both play games.
Virtual worlds have existed since modems have existed.
Yeah.
But where I think this, what I think has happened, and you can disagree with me in a minute, is that gamers are used to buying a product and using that product and consuming that product how they want to consume it. And then when NFTs came along and NFT games came along, they were cash grabs.
Yeah.
Which basically meant they were trying to get as much money out of gamers as possible. So for me, gamers have every right to be dubious, skeptical, resist it and fight against it, because the first people that they've met when it comes to gaming have been the scammers.
Yeah.
That's how I see this. It's not a case of Take-Two Interactive didn't come along and create a game with NFTs.
No.
LucasArts didn't come along and make a game with NFT.
No.
So what do we expect them to do when we come back to them and say, hey guys, we've got some great NFT spaceships and skins for Fortnite? I mean, what the first thing they're going to say is,
it's going to be a cash grab again.
It's going to be a cash grab again, exactly.
I mean, the scams and cheaply made games always come first, because they're made. The main objective is make as much money as possible. So have the the paradigm of you need to pay for all this stuff in order to get it, or in order to progress, and make it as fast as you can so people will play it. And that's unfortunately what happens when these new technologies, will come out or have come out in the gaming industry. The first set of games which will come out will always be things which are trying to make money or scam people.
Yeah.
But I don't know why people like gamers are so mad at NFTs, because it brings so much utility to the items you're buying, much more than what you're using currently. So skins, you wear it, cool. But if it was an NFT, even if it was an NFT, you could still use it exactly how you're using it now, and it would be no change from from the timeline. It's still just a skin, but it still just also allows you, depending on how game companies communicate with each other, form this cartel of an interoperable. If that's how you pronounce it, metaverse or blockchain. So yeah, I don't know. I think NFTs in games are a good idea. And almost give another point, which we've also talked about before, is we need to hide it as much as we can, and we need to put as much of the back end and complicate stuff behind a wall as much as we can, and just have the button. That's it. No one, even people who like crypto, who like crypto and play games, like me, for example, I still wouldn't want to see it, in detail.
So, I've got one thing to say, and then I've got another question for you about this. I don't want to. We always spend
go on so long
half
with
the stream talking about NFTs, but very simply, we started with proof of work, mining coins. Then we moved on to proof of stake, where you stake the coins on the system, and you get paid your rewards, and it secures the system. And we now have proof of ownership, which is NFTs. So your skin is your Call of Duty skin, your Fortnite skin, your World of Warcraft skin, your Grand Theft Auto skin. The proof of ownership is that you own that skin. So I think there needs to be more education to people to help them explain. There was another article that never made it into this podcast today, which is the NFTs are more than just pretty colours and pixels. They can be ownership of property, ownership of land, of cars, of the clothes you wear. It's the ownership of everything. So forget that, the image of a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk, that's not an NFT. They were just the first big projects. But an NFT is something you physically own, like your Bitcoin in your wallet. You can move that NFT to your wallet, your non-custodial wallet, and no one can remove it from your ownership. But my question to you is, and I know we've mentioned Epic Games in the past, but what's going to change, or what needs to change, to get gamers to embrace NFTs?
Well, I would say two things probably would be individualism of game companies, or selfishness. I don't really want to say it like that, but you know what I mean. And secondly would be a streamlined way of using these NFTs. So firstly, the selfishness of the game companies. The one way you're going to get gamers to use this is if all the gaming companies, and it's not hard to do, but it's unlikely, is that they all sit down together and plan, give a, let's say, 5-year plan, let's say, of building their own, or using an existing, which I don't think they'd want to do, but building their own interoperable communal blockchain, which they all use together. It will then also change, game making for the future, because they'd have to incorporate, reading these NFTs.
Different standards as well.
Yeah, and they'd have to incorporate, they wouldn't have to, but incorporate NFTs in their games. Obviously not every game.
So you think that it should be the developers pushing adoption rather than gamers pulling for adoption?
Yes, because all the problems with NFTs comes from ease of use. So I suppose the 2 points are from developers pushing. So it'd be ease of use, using these NFTs in every game these people can play, and obviously just like I said, not every game these companies make will have to be NFTs, but it would be good if they made an NFT game. And the second point was that we can't have, as much as it might be freeing for people who use crypto to see everything and see it go through on the Explorer. But if we just hide all that and just have a button and maybe a slider for like cost or whatever, I don't know. If we just have a simple button which allows the user to change between game or sell it, buy it, have a little marketplace. If we have the developers build a easy system of using crypto, I feel like we'd have an easier time adopting. If we have, I keep on using the word interoperable, easy blockchain.
Okay, all right.
So.
Well, the next article is tied into exactly what you just said. So we might as well move on to that article.
Yeah.
And it's tied into what you just said a minute ago about people not needing to know that they've got wallets.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing. I explained something the other day. When you use Facebook, you don't have to realise how your Wi-Fi box works, how it connects to the exchange. You don't need to know any of that. All you know is you type in facebook.com and Facebook appears, or you get your phone up and you bring up TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah. People don't care.
People don't care, exactly. And one thing I will mention is that the Star Atlas development team who are building, it's a bit like Elite. They're building the wallet, aren't they? The Solana-based wallet.
Yeah, the development kit and all that, which is brilliant for Unreal Engine.
But that can be connected to any game that's connected on the Solana network.
They've done some impressive work, Star Atlas team. They've made it's open source, I think. Yeah. An open source wallet made in C++. Don't need to worry about that, but basically means any game in Unreal Engine can incorporate this software development kit into the game and then connect it to Solana blockchain. So, I mean, going back to, I'll keep on going on about the NFT games, but going back to the, point of, the developers deciding to use the same blockchain, we already have the technically, we already have the technology for all the developers to go and use Solana. So in theory, obviously not every company uses the same game engine. Some use in-house game engines, so people would have to go over, there'd be a high demand for developers to make custom wallets, but for the games which use Unreal Engine, they could already incorporate this kit into the game and already connect to the Solana blockchain without much hassle. I suppose the developers would have to learn how to use this kit, but yeah. Anyway, back to what you're saying.
So this is the fractionalizing art, which is kind of what we were talking about. So if you have a quick run through the article, and then what you said before fits in with this, which is that people with their wallets don't need to know. And this, for me, will drive adoption in the art world.
All right. Well,
take it away.
Will museums of the future just be giant NFT galleries? With the tokenization of entire collections comes questions about the future of ownership in museums. Museums, individuals, and metaverse initiatives have used non-fungible tokens as a new means of reinventing themselves before their fans. The family of Frida Kahlo unveiled never-before-seen art and personal artifacts of the artist at an exclusive event on the Decentraland metaverse. In Belgium, the Royal Museum of Fine Arts, Antwerp, became the first European museum to tokenize a classic art masterpiece worth millions of euros. Will museums in the future just be giant NFT galleries with every piece of art having a digital counterpart? Halleck believes it's inevitable for museums to eventually transform into giant NFT galleries. We believe everything will be an NFT, just like a serial number. For every product, there'll be an NFT. Making art more accessible through fractionalized ownership or limited digital editions will most likely drive interest, raise the appreciation of the art and artist, and eventually increase its value. Halleck perceives NFTs as a tool for supporting public art rather than a transfer of custodianship. A more likely NFT model is funding a public display of artworks and artifacts by creating several digital versions. A recent report valued the NFT market to be worth nearly $231 billion by 2030.
So, the two parts to this. The part that I really love and the part that I can't stand. So, if we look at the positive side first, if you have this artwork which is one of a kind, it's a unique piece of art, you have two options. You can buy a print, which is worth nothing.
Yeah,
the cost of you can't sell it. It's the price of the piece of paper. Especially from an artist who's died, you can't get it signed, anything else.
No.
But the fractionalization of a piece of art, and what that means is that you divide the ownership up from one person who owns the piece of art, such as the London Tate, for example, or is it Tate Modern?
Tate Modern.
They currently own a masterpiece worth £10 million, and that money is locked up in that painting. You can't do anything with it other than people can pay to go and see that painting.
Yeah.
If they fractionalized that work of art and sold 100,000 fractional shares in that painting, that gives 100,000 people the opportunity to own a tiny piece of an original work of art, which for you and for me, we could pay £100 and we would own a fraction of one of the greatest works of art ever made. Right? That's where I see the real benefit. And for the Tate Modern, it gives them the money to then go out and buy more works of art for people to see. But not everybody in the world can go and see the Tate Modern.
No.
But they can own a tiny fraction.
Yeah.
So that's the good side for me. And the bad side is printing these posters and selling them. So Tate Modern turn around and say, we're going to have a limited edition of 10,000 of this painting and then sell them for $1,000 each or whatever it might be. But there's no connection between that work of art and what you're buying. You're just buying a digital printed copy.
Yeah, it's the same as the print in the paper. It might be a bit easier to sell, but would anyone really want to buy it?
Exactly. And what would you prefer? Would you prefer to own, it might be a loaded question this, would you prefer to own a fraction of an original work of art which may, for example, come with perks like free entry to Tate Modern or a private showing once a year, whatever? Would you prefer that, or would you prefer to own a 1 in 10,000 replica picture of it?
Well, I think I know what answer you think I'm going to give, and we all know what I'm going to give, and we all know what everyone should give, is fractionalizing and owning a part of the original masterpiece. Because one of one, and only a certain amount of, it might be like 10,000, 50,000. It might not be a lot, but there might be perks, like you said. But there might be perks by owning the other poster. However, if I'm owning a replica, which isn't the original, and there's only 10,000 of them, I could just might as well make my own version. I know copyright issues might be, a problem, but it's just like getting a photo of the, getting a print out of it online, printing it and putting it on your wall.
Yeah.
It's nothing different. But if you're owning, in theory, if you're owning a part of that, which is one of one, made by the artist, and is official, I'd rather own that.
See, the other side to the owning the fractional tiny percentage of that work of art is the secondary market. So, like I said before about Tate Modern, they have £10 million tied up in that one piece of art, which they can't use to benefit the museum and then in turn benefit the world of art. But you could have a secondary market through Magic Eden or OpenSea, where Tate Modern, who own that piece of art, they would get royalties. So let's say you did buy a 100,000th piece of a work of art there, and let's say it triples in value, and you think, well, actually, I need the money, I'm going to sell it. You could sell it for, instead of being £100, you sell it for £300. You'll get your 270 quid after the royalties have been paid, but Tate Modern will then get a transaction fee. So it's a recurring income for the museums.
Yeah.
It's not just a one-off transaction and that's the end of it. They will get their fee, their future fees. So going back to your original comment about making it so easy that people don't realise they're buying through a wallet and whatever else it might be, do you think somebody like Coinbase or Crypto.com, do you think that's the way forward?
I was about to talk about Google Pay and how easy that is, and then mention the Google Coinbase partnership. There could be something there, talking about Google having their own wallet powered by Coinbase. If something like that were to happen, where Google was to, maybe unless it may be linked to Coinbase itself, or what would be the best idea for both worlds would be Google making their own wallets, but it's just a wrapper of Coinbase, and it communicates to the same database as Coinbase. I think that's the best move, because if it's a wrapper, they can make it easier for the average person to use. Yeah. It uses the partnered Coinbase, which is what they would want, reason why they partnered. And it would just make it a lot easier for everybody, and universal. Like Google Pay, there's no transaction fee on it for paying for stuff, and it's really easy to use. So if something like Google Pay were to be made as simple, but for a crypto wallet, I think that's the way we should go. Apple, they're like
their fees are astronomical, aren't they?
They're just over there. They're gonna take their time. Yeah, they're gonna have to hobble over, but eventually they'll incorporate crypto somehow. But I think Google making their own thing with Coinbase would be the best bet.
Okay. Well,
but one thing before we end, and go into the questions about that, which I just want to mention, was a museum and an art gallery are very different. So it mentioned museums in the title, and then went on to talk about art galleries. I think with art galleries it'll work. However, I think with museums it really won't work. And if I really think so.
No, I think that becomes a very specific area. If you're really into ancient relics, for example, then you're going to. Everything can be fractionalized. Everything in a museum can be fractionalized, and an art gallery can be fractionalized. So you could probably look at the crowdfunding element there and say, you
could own a part of a T-Rex or something, I suppose.
Yeah, well, you could have a prehistoric collection. You could have a ancient Greek, ancient Roman collections. So rather than selling specific, dinosaur bones or whatever, you could have the departments having
their own little
NFT
collection, with
you being granted access to that museum in the metaverse for holding one of those NFTs.
Could be, I suppose it could.
But you're right. Works of art on one. There's a value in owning that.
Yeah, you can't own a dragon. You can't own a dinosaur.
you can't own.
If you own a dragon,
you can't own an ogre skull. But you're right. So I agree. I think the museum will struggle more than
the gallery.
Art gallery.
This is still the same fractionalized system mentioned with art galleries.
Yeah, exactly. So we have
some questions. 2 questions only.
We only have 2 questions?
Yeah, because one of our cohorts is not here.
He's currently spinning around in cups in Disneyland, I believe.
Yeah.
So what are the questions?
So we've got one for me, which is why the gas prices change from day to day, from Nicola in Montreal. And for you,
from where?
Montreal.
Montreal?
Yeah.
A Canadian viewer?
Yeah.
Wow.
And for you, we've got Is the Bottom In from Steve.
I get the easy question this week.
Yeah, I think I can answer this one. You'll go first then. Is the bottom in?
Is the bottom in? I think the bottom will be in between now and the end of November. And I think that 18,000 is the bottom.
Yeah.
But as I tweeted out a few days ago, I've got buy orders on Bitcoin between 17,000 and 13,000 because there could be a flash drop.
Yeah.
And then I think we'll come back up and we'll spend most of next year either recovering, as in we're slowly going up, or we're going to be range bound between 27,000. Don't believe anybody, including us, on prices, but I think if you look at the cycles, the 4-year cycles that we've been in, now is the time for the bottom.
Yeah.
December, January, February, March onwards, we're on the other side of the bottom. So I think it's any week, any month now.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Well, the gas prices change from day to day. So this is a bit of a tricky question. But
Do you know the answer to this? I know the answer to this.
It's depending on the traffic of
Yes.
the blockchain and the concurrent miners of the blockchain, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it changes if there's more people using the blockchain. It's gonna be a bit bottlenecked, so the prices will go up. But for miners, I can't lie, I don't really know about.
There's no miners anymore on the Ethereum network. We're all in proof of stake.
Well, I mean,
So
necessary to mine.
So prior to the merge, you were right on the miner side. Post miner, everything you've just said about traffic is exactly why because the more people that use the network, the higher the gas prices. Because we're post merge, what's happening? We're burning them. So for the last few days, Ethereum has been slightly more utilized than previously. So we are now in a deflationary period for Ethereum. So you were right with the first part of your answer.
So for blockchains where it does incorporate,
There aren't that many.
well, the ones which do.
There aren't that many.
Well, for the ones which do, there you go.
That's it. Well, please like and subscribe.
Yeah. Make sure the notifications on as well. We haven't really said that before.
No.
But you always get notified when we stream next. So yeah, make sure they're on.
And we will see you Wednesday, and we have a special visitor on Wednesday.
Yes, we have Zane.
Zane is coming to talk to us about Nifters
Yes.
and the do's and don'ts, and also some wallet security and wallet advice. So we'll see you all on Wednesday.
All right. Well, bye bye.
Thanks.